Hey, beautiful fam, it's Ms. Eden here with your astrology update for the month of January 2025. We made it. We have entered the 2025 energy space. How are y'all feeling? Leave it in the comments. I want to hear, how is this new year? And I'm going to use quotation marks because for me, I feel like it feels like a new year, but it doesn't quite feel like the new year yet. It's awfully weird to have a new year celebration start in the dead of winter, at least for us here in the northern hemisphere. So yeah, let me know how y'all are feeling with this new year's energy. There is separately this like excitement though that I'm feeling about 2025. So we're going to dive into the astrology, some important dates for the month, as well as some bigger themes as we get through January, y'all. So as we've talked about in previous videos leading up to 2025, we are now in the midst of a lot of great change and shift in the energies. 2025 is going to be a year where most of the outer planets are changing signs. The ones that will not change signs this year already just changed signs last year, which is what I'm talking about, is Pluto changing into the sign of Aquarius. So other than that, all the other outer planets, which would be Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and again, Pluto, they will all be changing signs this year. And there's just a lot of interesting endings of cycles and new beginnings, new cycles starting, that is kind of timing around the 2025 time. So are y'all feeling this like shift into like almost a different reality? It's like we're being called to reevaluate how we've been living, right? And that's the big theme I'm feeling even deeper that kicked off with January 2025 energy. So 2025 numerologically is a 9 year. The way we get that is we add up the numbers in 2025, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5, into a single digit. That brings us to 9. A 9 year is an endings year, wrap-ups, culminations, learning what we can before we step forward onto the next cycle, which will be a 10 year, boiling back down. 1 plus 0 is 1. But again, 10 or 1 years are all about new starts, new cycles, and hopefully we can really make that more of a 10 year than a 1 year, because 10 is like stepping up, learning all the lessons that we have from this previous 9 year cycle. So 2025 is going to be a deep learning year for the collective. That's certainly what I'm feeling and my belief for the greater collective. So let me know always in the comments how this is resonating with you, fam. Coming into January, we still also have a number of planets that are in retrograde right now. Mars is in retrograde. Uranus will be in retrograde through the end of the month. Jupiter is in retrograde. And the North Node, which really isn't a body, it's like a point in our astrological chart, is also retrograding. So we still have a bit of a slowdown, a sluggishness coming into 2025, which I'm deeply feeling. Would love to hear again from the collective. Are you feeling the sluggishness? It's like, it's not just sluggishness. It's almost like a deep calling with these retrograding energies, Mars, Uranus, Jupiter, North Node, to really come back into contact with an understanding of these natural cycles in life. That in the winter time, at least for us, again, speaking from the northern hemisphere, during these colder winter months, we're not supposed to be moving and grooving and doing. Look at the earth around us. Look at what the animals and the plants are doing. They are resting. Rest is a deeply important and sacred cycle. It is just as important as cycles of productivity and movement. We've just been trained to think of rest more as a luxury. I beg to greatly differ with that there is so much constructive growth that can be found in rest. So again, we're in a resting period. Again, why I'm not feeling that like super fast start to the new year type of energy. I mean, I am feeling the excitement that's bubbling up, but it's like a slow bubble for 2025. So the retrogrades could have something to do with that. If you're still feeling like, maybe I'm not off to a great start, or maybe I'm not ready to like kick into gear a lot of these resolutions, by springtime, I think a lot of that will feel more in line with the movement. Kicking into gear resolutions, getting things going and moving projects, ideas, all of that will be rife and better in the springtime, when the earth is naturally coming into its new beginning, right? It's new year. So let's talk about some of these dates for January that we're going to come into. Now, I am getting to this video a few days into January, so some of these events will have already happened. However, we can still feel the energies of them, certainly. So on the back it up. First, I'm looking at 1 for January. On January 2nd, there you go. On January 2nd, Venus will move into the sign of Pisces. Venus this can be a time where, again, Venus, the planet of love, of those pleasures in life, those very tactile, indulgent pleasures that we have, but those things that we love, people, places, things, all are affected. And with Pisces being the energy that Venus will be in for the next few weeks, expect that our emotions may be a little more easily inflamed. I don't want to say triggered, because it's not Mars energy, but we might be a little overly emotional with those things, people, places that we love. Conversely, this Venus and Pisces period can also give us the opportunity to really dive deep and get deeper emotional connection and clarity and understanding with those people, places, things that we love, right? So just be mindful of that. It might be some rocky times in some of our love relationships during this transit. However, really meet, if there's some bumps, if there's some rockiness, like what do we have to learn from that, right? So then on the 3rd of January, Mars was conjunct Pluto. This has happened quite a few times in the recent past. And by that, I mean like in the span of the last year and a half, 18 months or so. But these Mars conjunct Pluto periods can be very volatile because both of them have to do with power. Mars is very aggressive, fast-moving energy, very creative, but very much about ego and self-serving energy. Pluto is all about power, greater power, almost like top-down power, but also secrets, right? Kind of like that secrets and power sort of thing. So the 3rd, we definitely saw a lot of spicy stuff happen around the 1st of the year. And again, when I say these dates, not everything is so firm and hard on the dates, because these planetary bodies are always in constant movement. So we can feel the effects of a lot of these, like Mars conjunct Pluto, in the days surrounding the 3rd, when it is like officially at this prime degree of conjunction. So we might see a lot of a bit more. We might have seen, because that was in the past, this past week, a bit more irritability. Again, with Venus and Pisces, we might be a bit more emotionally triggered and overwhelmed. It is very much important that we pump the brakes a little bit, especially with regard to those power structures, power dynamics that we might be warring against, because conjunctions really inflame the energies of these planets that are conjunct. Now, on the 6th, we have Mars, which has been in Leo, and so it will be in the final stages of Leo during this conjunction. On the 6th of January, Mars will move into Cancer. Now, Mars isn't necessarily super comfortable in the sign of Cancer, because Cancer is a deeply emotional, watery sign. Mars is a fiery, ego-driven, very creative, but like alchemical sign. So Mars doesn't really want to dive deep into the emotions. It's not looking to gain a lot more clarity and show compassion and love and nurturing, which is what that Cancerian energy brings. That's not Martian energy at all. So this might be a little bit of time where we feel like a bumpy road, or a bit of like we're putting up walls, or it's like sandpapery and uncomfortable because of that Martian energy, that really fast moving, aggressive energy, with this kind of slow, nurturing Cancerian energy that it's not really comfortable with, at home in, right? So then also coming on the back of that, we have on the 8th of January, Mercury entering Capricorn. Again, Mercury, the air, planet of like that governs a lot of air signs. Also, it governs Virgo, which is an earth sign, but Mercury is not super comfortable in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is too encaging, it's too controlling. It's trying to like lock Mercury in when Mercury's like, I need to fly. And not just that, I need to transcend all realms and gain all the knowledge that I can and chat my ideas away to others and share what I've learned. So while Mercury is in Capricorn for the next few weeks, again, after January 8th, it can be a time where we bring a little bit more structure, again, into these ideas that were mercurial ideas that we're getting, and it can really kind of solidify and ground. We can use these energies like bringing the tenderness to this, the softness to Mars, right? With that Cancerian energy. We can bring the structure from Capricorn into that mercurial energy, which will really, again, ground this fire and air energy. And by the way, when I was talking about those planetary shifts at the beginning of the video that we're going to be having with a lot of our outer planets, they are moving out of this year heavier earth and water signs, and they are moving into predominantly fire and air signs. So if you're feeling like the pace is picking up, that's why, right? And Pluto is already in Aquarius, an air sign. So just when the outer planets are concerned, we are talking about greater paradigm shifts for the collective of humanity, because these transits are much longer than the transits of Mercury, Mars, and Venus that are closer to the center of our solar system, I will say. So yes, this is we're going to be having a lot of, again, just shifting energies. A lot of stuff is going to feel like it's almost like becoming loose. It's loosening, right? All this stagnant energy. So we can find balance when these energies that are typically pretty harsh with each other, like Mercury and Capricorn, we can find ways to pull on the mature sides of both of those, which Mercury is again about transcendence, about learning, about travel. Capricorn is all about stability and power, right? And using that power and stability and like kind of material gain in the real world. I want to say I don't want to oversay material, the 3D world, right? How we can kind of alchemize a lot of this mercurial mental energy down into the physical world with that Capricornian energy. Now, the 13th of January, we have a full moon in Cancer. So it might get really emotional, y'all. We might get really into the nurturing. I would say this is about self-nurturing. That's what is kind of coming to me. How are we nurturing the self? We've had a lot of emphasis with planets in Aries. And so again, we're being faced with this mirror of looking at the ego self, facing the choices and the decisions that we have made in life up till this point. And now with this full moon in Cancer, we can really come around with, instead of that critical parent kind of angle, we can come around with a little bit more of that nurturing parent with that Cancerian full moon, okay? On the 19th, Aquarius season begins on January 19th. Then on the 27th, Mercury will move into Aquarius, where it is far more comfortable. So again, for those couple of weeks, those few weeks between the 8th and the 27th, where Mercury's in Capricorn, ground some of your ideas. It's a slowdown period anyway. We don't need to be like kicking it into high gear right now. That's going to be like March, late March, when we can really feel that energy back within ourselves, that we can like get up and go. But during this slowdown, during this wintering period, again, Mercury in Capricorn can be very beneficial before we launch into Mercury in Aquarius, which is all about revolutionary thinking. We got to ground our ideas before we really launch off with how are we going to then put them out into the world, because they are going to be very revolutionary. A lot of the technologies, a lot of the medicine, which Mercury governs both technology, travel, medicine, all sorts of new developments. So I would suspect that during this Mercury and Aquarius time, we're going to see some interesting news coming up about new developments in those areas, new technologies. It's always going to be important, though, with this Pluto and Aquarius, because it's dealing with power, that I'm not saying be skeptical of every single piece of technology, but what we have seen with the power structures of Pluto and Capricorn is that maybe they don't have our best interest at heart. Maybe they're looking to fill their bottom line before they're looking to fill what's best for the people and the planet. And I think a lot of us, again, are waking up to that reality and seeing the truth for what it has been. So approach new technology with interest, with excitement, but always with questions and like, what is this going to be used for? What could it possibly be used for? Because time and time again in history, we have seen new technologies and new advancements that can have these utopian applications be utilized for evil, basically, for the wrongdoing, for power, for ego, for war mongering, whatever you want to say. But it'll be interesting to see what comes up, because every week it's like there's new leaps and bounds and growth with AI and technology, and in all fields, right? Banking, in home, like technology that we use in our homes, medical technology, again, our work a day technology, that which we use with manufacturing. I mean, everything is just upgrading so rapidly. Then on the 29th of January, we have the Lunar New Year. It's a new moon in Aquarius. This Lunar New Year is the year of the wood snake. So I would encourage y'all to do a little research into the meaning of the snake, the meaning of the wood snake. And also remember, again, that January 1st is one new year for a certain calendar, but there are so many other new years as well. So in the midst of this wintering that we're going through, right, especially now that the holiday season is over and the lights and the twinkle are coming down, but the darkness is still there, right? Like slow and steady, it's getting lighter and lighter, longer and longer, but slow and steady still. It is winter. And we can celebrate these New Year's, Lunar New Year, right, as opposed to a solar New Year. And then we have astrological New Year with the equinox in March. So again, just when my understanding of time is becoming so much more fluid, and it's so fascinating to just, again, become a little bit less strict with, it's the new year, January 1st, start these, well, okay, it's the new year for some, but then we have, right, Lunar New Year coming in 20 odd days or so. Now, to wrap up the month, are y'all ready for it? Because we have a little bit of a slowdown cycle. We have the opportunity for a slowdown internally in our lives during January, but the outer world is still going to be going a bit cuckoo bananas, right? But then on the 30th, remember I said Uranus has been going retrograde? Well, on the 30th of January, Uranus stations direct in the sign of Taurus. Now, again, Uranus has not been very comfortable in the sign of Taurus. Uranus, thinking about, is the sky god of mythology. Uranus is a creator god. And so when we have the heavy earth sign of Taurus, which is very much finite and structured, Uranus doesn't groove well with that. It's too structured for them. Now, Uranus is the bringer of swift and great change. It is the lightning bearer, kind of like the storm bringer. It is the ground shaking planet. So while we see this Uranus in Taurus before it moves into Gemini later in the year, we might still see a lot of instances of earth shaking activity, earthquakes, volcanic activity, earth shifts, landslides, because a lot of stuff's still going to be happening with water and earth. I said we're moving out of these signs, but it's like as we're leaving these earth and water energies, it's really having its way with us, isn't it? So Uranus moving direct in Taurus is really going to kick the gear up a little bit into faster motion. And then in February, we're going to see just again, like on the grander scale of the outer world of what's happening collectively, we're going to see the pace continue to pick up for the first couple of months. So during these little moments of slowdown, these moments where you're feeling called to rest, take them for yourself in January, because again, everything else is going to be speeding up. We wanted to be well rested and have our strong grounding tools in place that we can lean into in these moments of upheaval that are, looking at the astrology, it just looks like it's bound to come, y'all. So I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's just, nothing stays the same forever. I don't want us to step into this with fear. There is so much excitement and newness that is there for us, but we have to be brave enough to envision and then create in the real world that which we want to see. And it has to very much come from a heart-centered space, right, fam? So sending y'all so much love for January. If you've made it through this video this far and you've enjoyed, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and become one of the family. Let's keep growing this community. I love hearing from y'all, so definitely leave me some comments and let me know how this January energy is sitting with y'all. Sending y'all so much love. See you soon.